What is up guys, it's your favourite Scotsman Ryan here, and I have spent the best part of the last 10 weeks with the Huawei Nova, and I feel it's time that I can deliver my final thoughts on the device in case anyone is looking to go ahead and pick one up. So if you missed my unboxing and first impressions video, I will of course leave it linked down below just in case you want to go ahead and check it out. So in my usual fashion, I will be telling you everything I liked and some things that I disliked about the device. So with that said, let's jump in and take a look at the specs first of all. Okay, so the Huawei Nova features a 5-inch 1080p IPS panel, a Qualcomm 625 processor with 3GB of RAM, 32GB of onboard storage with micro SD card support, a 12MP rear camera and 8MP front facing camera, and a beefy 3020mAh battery. So let's start with my favourite part of the Nova, and that is the build quality and design. Huawei have done a fantastic job here, and while previously we have seen Huawei release handsets similar in the looks department and inspired by Apple and even HTC, this time round we have seen them work that Nexus 6P styling that I truly loved into a smaller package, and it falls in line with Huawei's MediaPad M3 design. We have a wonderful full aluminium body with a brushed styling on the outside of the device along with the chamfered edges that flow all the way around the device and even feature on the fingerprint sensor itself. Speaking of the fingerprint sensor, you will find that on the rear, and in my opinion this is the preferred position for me. Along the top is where you will find the camera and a nice piece of curved glass that will be either white like mine or black depending on what colour of Nova you choose, but either way I think it looks great and helps break up the design. With a 5-inch screen it is super easy to hold with one hand, although the back is a little slippery, but of course this can be easily solved by purchasing a case or skin. But overall, if you are looking for a handset that you can easily utilise with one hand, then this will be perfect. Overall, I'm a massive fan of what Huawei have done here, and I hope to see this trend continue into future devices. So if we take a closer look at the 1080p IPS panel, I was really impressed, and I love how Huawei calibrate their displays. The colours are vivid, the blacks are super inky, and overall it looks sharp and the viewing angles aren't too terrible at all. I have watched a few reviews where people have complained that the Huawei screen doesn't get bright enough, especially in direct sunlight, causing some problems, but I didn't have this problem at all and found that it got plenty bright even when in direct sunlight I was able to view it. But that may be because I live in Scotland and we don't really get a lot of sunshine, but there was definitely no issues with outdoor viewing for me. When it comes to my experience with the software, I must say I'm definitely not a fan of Huawei's EMUI. With no app drawer and a clunky menu system, I opted to download and install Pixel Launcher almost instantly, the same way I did with my Huawei P9. With a more stock Android experience, I found using the Nova very pleasurable, as I could have my standard one screen setup and leave everything else in the app drawer. Being a mid-tier device, performance from the Qualcomm 625 chip is as expected. Normal daily usage like navigating through the menus is smooth and it handles multitasking not too terrible at all, but when it comes to demanding games and heavy multitasking, it does sit behind the competition like the Honor 8 for example. Don't get me wrong, if you are a casual gamer you will have no issues at all, but those more serious about gaming will notice that performance does lack a little. One thing I will say though is that even when downloading loads of applications or playing games for long periods of times, the Qualcomm 625 doesn't get too warm at all like some other devices in this price bracket running older chipsets. Another bonus of utilising the Qualcomm 625 is of course its support for UHD video, which takes us nicely onto the camera. First of all, the app is very basic if you want it to be, and laid out much like the iPhone, which is perfect for anyone who wants to just pull out their camera and take a picture, but you can dive deeper into pro modes if you wish, and control other aspects of the camera like ISO and white balance. To be honest, I was pretty impressed with the images that the Nova produced, and as you can see from the samples that I have shot while on my trip to London, the images are nice and sharp, and if you have a good light you'll be more than happy. But as expected, in low light images will start to fall apart, but there are very few mid-tier handsets out there that shoot great in low light. When it comes to UHD video however, I feel unless you are using a tripod or a gimbal etc, then it is pretty useless as there is no stabilisation options, making the video rather shaky and in my opinion not worth the hassle. Scaling it down to 1080p however, and the software stabilisation kicks in, and I must say it is super impressive. As you can see from this clip of me walking, it handles very well, and it is among the best software based stabilisations that I have seen. Overall, I was definitely impressed with the camera quality. It's not the best on offer, but it will definitely get the job done and get you some great pictures. So if you're on the market for a device that has great battery life, then you will definitely want to check out the Huawei Nova, as the new Qualcomm chip plus features built into Android Marshmallow like those makes this a battery champion, and honestly it gets me through a whole day on heavy usage without any trouble at all. So one downside that I did find is how slow the Nova charges. Obviously with great battery life it won't be so much a problem, but Huawei did tell us that it supports fast charging, but obviously they didn't include a fast charger in the box, so this is something that you will have to go ahead and buy separately if you wish to get faster charging times. But with great battery life, hopefully you won't be charging the device too much. So before I go ahead and wrap this up, there are a few other points worth noting. First of all, the Fingerprint Scanner is killer fast and up there with the best that I have used. And audio from that bottom speaker is actually not too terrible at all, unless you turn your music all the way up and the highs do start to sound a little tinny, but overall it's definitely passable. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Is the Huawei Nova worth its €399 price tag? Well, this point in the market is pretty competitive, with devices like the Honor 8, the Axon 7 and even the OnePlus 3 all competing for your hard earned cash. In my honest opinion, I feel that the Huawei Nova is a little overpriced, but the design definitely wins me over, and honestly it is something that you are going to have to decide for yourself. In my opinion, I would definitely go ahead and pick one of these up, as the design is lovely, the performance is great, and honestly the battery life is something that I could definitely live with on a daily basis, as I get pretty frustrated having to charge my devices over and over again during the day. So that pretty much wraps it up, guys. If you have any questions about the Huawei Nova that you feel I didn't cover, just ask me down below or hit me up on social media, on Twitter, etc. You will find my links all down below in the description. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace!